George Panky Jr. On a beautiful June day in 2011, 30-year-old George Panky Jr. went hiking with around 20 members of his 80-strong church group. They decided to hike the Upper Yosemite Falls Trail, but when they trekked back down, George was no longer with the group. Assuming that he'd hiked back to the Yosemite Valley floor, his friends only reported George missing at 9 p.m. when it became apparent that he was nowhere to be found. At the time of his disappearance, George was dressed casually in sweatpants, a t-shirt, and running shoes. He was carrying a bag containing minimal food and water. A full-scale search and rescue operation got underway first thing the next morning. Approximately 105 people, several helicopters, and 6 search and rescue dogs scoured the area for about a week without finding any clues or trace of Panky. In 2020, there is still no information as to what may have happened to Panky. His remains, clothing, and bag have never been located. Carla Valdez. In December of 2018, 35-year-old Carla Valdez, who is legally blind, traveled from her home in Detroit to Peru to attend a wedding. While there, she tried to tour Machu Picchu, but she was denied entry due to her low vision. A tour group offered to help her explore the site. Carla and members of the group stayed together the whole day and then went dancing at a club. They returned to the Pariwana hostel, where they were all staying, at around 4 a.m. on December the 12th. Later, Carla texted a new friend from the tour group that she was going to explore the city that morning. Then, she just disappeared. According to her brother, Carlos Valdez Jr., a female member of the tour group said that she had awakened around 9:30 a.m. and noticed that Carla and all her belongings were gone. Around this time, security forces and a receptionist had seen Carla getting into a taxi. The taxi driver was located, and he told police that he had dropped Carla off at a Costco bus terminal as she wanted to further explore the city. The last information that Carla's family and friends received is that a man working at the entrance to Machu Picchu saw Carla there and she looked well. Shortly after Carla's disappearance, her father and brother started traveling Peru looking for her. To date, no evidence about Carla's fate has been found. In 2019, police investigating her disappearance expressed doubt that Carla ever made it to Machu Picchu on December the 12th of 2018, despite the park employee claiming that he saw her on that day. It is believed that the case is still open. However, there is some speculation that she was victimized by criminals, but has now been found and quietly returned to her parents. Tylee Ryan and Vela. In what has turned out to be an incredibly confusing and tragic missing persons case, siblings Tylee Ryan and Vela disappeared without a trace in September of 2019. 17-year-old Tylee was seen for the last time with her family at Yellowstone National Park on September the 8th of 2019. 7-year-old JJ was last seen at Kennedy Elementary School on September the 23rd of 2019. Despite all this, their mom, Lori Vallow, got married on November the 5th of 2019 to Chad Daybell. When Idaho police tried to conduct a welfare check on JJ on November the 26th, Lori told them that JJ was with other family members in Arizona. That story unraveled fast as the police investigated. By the time officers returned on November the 27th, Lori's home in Idaho had been abandoned. Days later, Lori and Chad quietly slipped away to Hawaii, where they lived in a rental townhome. The investigations into the disappearances of Tylee and JJ were made public on December the 20th of 2019. Lori missed a court-ordered deadline to produce the children on January the 30th of 2020. On February 10th, It was reported that police had found Tylee's cell phone with Laurie's belongings in Hawaii. On February 20th, Laurie Vela was arrested by Kauai police and ultimately charged with multiple counts related to these disappearances. Shortly before her arrest, it became known that Laurie and her husband were convinced that Tylee and JJ were possessed and had become zombies as a result. On June the 9th of 2020, police discovered the remains of Tylee and JJ in the backyard of Chad Dable's home in Salem, Idaho. JJ's body was wrapped in plastic and duct tape. Tylee's body had been dismembered and set on fire. Daybell is also facing charges in connection with the deaths of these two children. Ben Trembles. 24-year-old Ben Trembles lived alone in an apartment in the north end of Niagara Falls, Ontario in 2016. The young man was troubled and had been struggling with mental health issues for at least 3 years at that point. On February 11th of 2016, Ben went grocery shopping with his mother. While they were talking, Ben said something that would haunt his mom for years to come. As they were walking in the store, Ben said, "I'm tired of it all." This occurred after conversations in which Ben had declared that he wanted to jump down the falls and never be found, as he felt that he was a burden to his mom. In the early hours of February 12, 2016, Ben Trembles left his Niagara Falls apartment and vanished into the night. His mother, Monique Smith, only realized 4 days later that her son was missing. Volunteers searched the falls, but no sign of Ben was ever found. More than 4 years later, Monique is none the wiser when it comes to Ben's fate. However, she believes that he made good on his promise to take his own life.